Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartribhyo Vamsha Rishibhyo Namo Gurubhyaha. So we were looking at the 12th Vakya in the Maitreyo Brahmanam, where the analogy of salt again dissolving back into the salt water or sea that is given here in the context of an individual attaining this Brahma Jnanam. So this is the analogy, and we were looking at the bhashya for this. So Bhashyakara gave a big sentence here about how one takes oneself as an individual due to avidya, due to ignorance, and that is similar to the salt crystal formation from the salt water itself. So the salt water is salty all over, but in one particular place still it is becoming individualized, you can say, correct, as a separate crystal. But if that crystal is again dissolved back, you cannot know where it has gone. Everywhere again it is salty only. So that crystallization is given as an analogy for the formation of the individuality itself. But the individual is not really separate from Brahman. That is the understanding here. Individuality itself is as though it is aupadhika, it is due to an upadhi. That is the teaching here. And once that upadhi itself is destroyed, in this case ignorance itself is the upadhi or conditioning factor due to which the appearance of the individuality is there. That appearance of individuality, once you have seen through it, once you have seen through the appearance and do not take it as your ultimate reality, because individuality also comes and goes. That is the important thing one has to see. Being an individual, you have to see that your individuality is something which is not intrinsic to you. It is transient, because only in waking we have a certain individuality. In dream you can have totally a different individuality. In deep sleep there is no individuality, but you are there. I as a conscious entity, I am there in deep sleep only as generic consciousness. But since the mind has resolved, there is no specific awareness of any object. But still I am there as a conscious entity. I am always the same conscious entity who is invariable, who is unchanging in nature. My very nature is being this consciousness. So that never changes. That is Satyam. Everything else which comes and goes, including the individuality, is Mithya. It is all dependent existence. Does not have an existence of its own. It cannot be really counted. That is the teaching here. So here we saw the bhashya up to this point, okay, or I can quickly go through that. From here onwards, this bhashya we already saw, I think up to this. So yatha ayam drishtantaha. So this drishtanta is given of the salt crystal and the salt water itself. So this salt water or the ocean is like the Paramatma, which is Mahad Bhutam. So Bhashyakara will later explain this Mahad Bhutam also in a particular manner. So from this sea, which is salt water, the salt crystal has come. And that has come due to avidya. Okay, this avidya only, this ignorance only makes you this limited individual, and that individuality itself is due to only your identity with your body mind sense complex, karya karana upadhi sambandhat, due to the connection which you establish yourself. So you have a certain connection identity with reference to this karya. Karya is nothing but the physical body, and karana is all the internal organs, correct? All the instruments, including your sense organs and mind. So karya is sthula sharira, karana is sukshma sharira. So the sthula sukshma sharira abhimana is there for one. That is the sambandha which is talked about here. And because of that only you attain this kilya bhava. Kilya bhava. So kilya is the salt crystal. So it is like the separate individuality which you have gained. Okay, but that again, if it goes back and dissolves back into the ocean, let us say mahati bhute swayonam mahasamudra sthaniye paramatmani, into the paramatma, when this individuality which is born out of ignorance, when the ignorance goes, that individuality dissolves into this samudra, your identity has shifted to satyam jnanam anantam brahma. And so the bheda bhava also is destroyed, Bhashyakara says, which again the bheda bhava itself is due to avidya only. Avidya krite bheda bhave pranashite. Okay, sorry, I came to the next sentence, I think. So anyway, so you have dissolved back into this Paramatma, which is Ajara, Amara, Abhaya, Shuddha, Saindava Ganavati Ekarasa, Prajnana Ghana, Ananta, Apara, like this, all these words are used. These words are used here also. Upanishad itself is using this. Mahadbhutam, Anantam, Aparam, Vijnana Ghana Eva. So Bhashyakara also using the same words. Each of those words have some significance with reference to Brahman, with reference to revealing the nature of Brahman. Okay. So they are all revealing words. We will see that Bhashyakara himself will explain these words later on in the Bhashya. So that which does not age, which does not die, which doesn't have any fear, which is free from all kinds of impurities, including papa and punya, and which is one whole consciousness, one without a second, homogeneous. In that infinite, boundless, permanent vastu only, one has to have identity. Okay, your very self identity has to shift. That is what is being talked about here as a pravesha. Pravesha means you have as though entered into that. In fact, many people talk these things very literally. So there is no literal pravesha or merger or union. Even yoga is presented as though you are entering into some infinite and all that. So the entry and all is only a word, is only a way of language, correct? There is no real entry. The separation was due to ignorance. Once the ignorance goes, it's all, you have already entered. That's it. Correct? So it is all avidya janita bhranti beda varjite, he says. So when the bhranti is not there, erroneous cognition which is born out of ignorance is gone, means you have entered as though into this limitless ocean. Instead of being a salt crystal, you have become the ocean. Even become is again not a real word. Understand that you are already that. Only thing which has gone away is the avidya. So further what Bhashyakara says, tasmin pravishte swayonigraste kilya bhave avidyakrite bheda bhave pranashite. So once you have entered it, tasmin pravishte means what? Once you have owned up your limitlessness, and which is swayonigraste means what? You are now within your own source. That is your real source. That is the only source. In fact, for all individuals, the self is the same, in fact, which is this infinite conscious being. So once you have owned up to that, then what? This Kilya Bhava means being this separate individual or being this salt crystal, which itself is avidya krita, which is due to avidya, ignorance. And when that ignorance born individuality and bheda bhava also means what? The idea of separation, the idea of division between subject object, let us say. So many divisions are there. Once the division comes, all sorts of divisions we can imagine. So all sorts of divisions are also gone. Pranashite, when all these things pranashite, sati, okay, we can put a sati saptami there. Then what? Idam ekam advaitam mahadbhutam. So this Brahman, which is ekam, which is only one, which is without a second. Okay, so we have to say one, only one without a second. Ekam eva advitiyam has to be said all the time, because there is no sajatiya, vijatiya, swagata bheda, we say. That's why those three words are used. See, one means within a group also there can be one, correct? So one alone is not enough. One only we have to say. Means one only means there is no other species, etc. also, no other category. Within one category, one. But there are no other categories themselves. Means one only. But what about parts within that one? Like a tree is having parts. That's where Advaya, correct? Ekameva Advitiyam means what? Swagata Bheda also is not there. There is no, it's one partless whole. This consciousness is a partless whole. So that Ekam, Advaitam, Mahadbhutam, great reality, you can say, Mahadbhutam. Mahadbhutam, Bhashyakara gives a bigger bhashya later on, so I won't explain too much. So Mahadbhutam means the great being or great reality. And so he gives, in fact, the meaning. What is that? Mahat cha, tad bhutam cha, Mahat bhutam. So it is Mahat, great, and it is also bhutam. Bhutam means here you can take it as a reality or a being, like that. And then he gives the meaning. What? Sarva mahattaratva, akashadi karanatva cha. So why it is great? In fact, it is the greatest. There is nothing greater than limitless or infinite, correct? So Mahat is an apt word. In fact, you have to understand it as a noun. It is not like Mahat can come as an adjective also. You can say a great mountain, great mouse also is there. If you are using these words as an adjective, they have a relative meaning. But here Mahat is Mahat by itself. It is great, that's it. Or it is the greatest. Okay. Mahattaratvat, Bhashyakara says. Sarva Mahattarata. So it is greater than everything else. Why? Because it is even the cause of the Akasha. Akashadi Karanatvacha. So Akasha itself is created. Space itself is created. This is our Siddhanta for thousands of years. Only few years back, physicists have now accepted that space-time are also created. Before that, even modern science was thinking that space-time is absolute. So space-time itself is created. This is, we are very clear for thousands of years. Even in Taittiriya Bhashya also, this Tasmad Etasmad Atmanaha Akasha Sambhutaha is there. So from this Atma alone, Akasha has come. In that Bhashya, Bhashyakara also says, with the Akasha, we have to include time also. So he includes time. Space-time is created. This Bhashyakara says in the Taittiriya Bhashya. So for us, it is very clear. Space-time is created because it is there in our everyday experience also, correct? This is nothing great. You create an entire space-time in your dream world. So it is not something which is beyond our experience or beyond our imagination. So this is there. It's not something very difficult to understand. So since this being is the very cause of the space itself, so it doesn't have any spatial or even time wise, it is also the cause of time. So there is no limitation with reference to all that. It is really great, the greatest, greater than the greatest, whatever. And it is also bhutam. So bhutam, bhuta kala also is there, correct? Bhuta means past tense. It is bhu, sattayam is the dhatu. With ikta pratyaya, bhuta comes. Okay, why am I suddenly talking grammar? Because Bhashyakara also is going to talk about grammar, because normally ikta pratyaya comes in past tense, correct? Bhuta itself means bhuta kala and all we say, something which was, correct? But here he says bhutam means trishu api kaleshu swarupa avyabhichara sarvada eva parinishpannam iti traikalikaha nishtha pratyayaha. So here bhutam means satyam, that which is the reality, ultimate reality, means it is there in all three periods of time. Trikale api tishtati. So for the word satyam, which is an ontological term, the meaning which we give is what? We give the meaning that something which is there in all periods of time. That is satyam. And also in all periods of time, it doesn't become different. It is always the same. Swarupa avyabhichara means what? Whichever way you have ascertained it, it never changes its nature. It is always the same. Yadrupena yen nishchitam bhavati tadrupena tanna vyabhicharati iti satyam. This is what Bhashyakara gives the definition in the Taittiriya Bhashya again. So that which is there in all three periods of time, and that once you have ascertained that it is of this nature, it never varies from that, it never changes. That is what Swarupa Avyabhichara. Sarvada eva parinishpannam, it is always there. In fact, it is beyond time, in fact. It transcends even time, because it is the cause of even space-time. So it is traikalikaha nishtha pratyaya. Here Bhashyakara gives a grammatical meaning. Now this word nishtha, don't go think that it is some Brahmanishta and all that. This nishtha is a technical jargon of grammar. Okay, so if whoever has studied your Panini, okay, if you have studied Pranini, ikta vatu nishtha, like that it is there in the first pada of the first adhyaya itself. I think it is some 1126 or some sutra is there. Ikta vatu nishtha. So ikta and iktavat pratyayas are known as nishtha pratyayas in Paninian system. Maybe it was there even before this paribhasha was there, I think, this jargon. Panini actually has a separate sutra, and then later on he uses the word nishtha in many sutras. Okay. In fact, even I don't remember all of Panini now. I used to be very interested in Panini. When we were studying in the Gurukulam, I did know a lot of the things, most of which I have forgotten now. So some things I remember now and then. So this Radhabhyam, like that, there is a sutra, Nishtataha, Naha, like that. So that bid dhatu is there. If a dhatu ends with dakara, and if it is followed by this ikta pratyaya, takara is there, correct? Bid plus ta. That should have become bitta only, correct? But it becomes bhinna. How? There is a sutra for that. So Panini says both that dakara and takara will become na. Na is given as a substitution by one sutra. So then it becomes bhinna. Vid plus ta will become bin plus na. Then it becomes bhinna. The word bhinna also comes. So in all, there are many sutras like this. There is a sutra just nishtha itself, where that iktavat is introduced as a pratyaya. There is a nishtha like that. There is a sutra. So this ikta pratyaya normally comes in past tense, but here Bhashyakara points out it comes in the meaning of all three tenses. That which is there in all periods of time is really bhuta, not just in the past. So he is pointing out here. So the nishtha pratyaya comes in the meaning of all three periods of time. Very interestingly, he is pointing it out. Then what? Athava. Otherwise, he gives another meaning for this bhuta. What is that? Bhuta shabdaha paramarthavachi. So bhuta shabda represents the ultimate truth. Okay. So then mahat bhuta will become mahatcha paramarthikancha ityarthaha. So why this mahat and paramarthika has to be said? Because if you just say great, great can be even great things in this world. There are great mountains are there, like I told you. So you may have a misconception about the greatness itself. That's why the paramarthikam is also very important. It is the ultimately great thing. Okay, ultimate truth. It transcends everything. So Bhashyakara points it out. So he says, Laukikam tu yadyapi mahad bhavati, swapna maya kritam himavadadi parvata upamam na paramartha vastu. So even in this world, okay, there are big things, great things are there, but they are all created by swapna maya only, swapna or maya. And there are things like Himavadadi Parvata Upamam, he says, that those which can be compared to the Himalayas. Himalayas was always the greatest mountain. So greatness means we think about Himalayas. So Himavadadi Parvata Upamam. But even this Himavadadi Parvata, etc., they are all not Paramartha Vastu. They are all within this Srishti only. So to differentiate from relative greatness, this bhuta can be taken as paramarthikam. Therefore, he says ataha vishineshti. Therefore, it is specially differentiated. Okay, why? As paramartha. Okay, therefore, idantu mahatcha tad bhutancha iti. Therefore, it is mahat, but it is paramarthika mahat, not just relative or laukika. That way also we can take this meaning mahat bhutam. So here actually Bhashyakara is giving the meaning for this mahat bhutam. Okay, mahat bhutam. Then anantam aparam vijnana ghana eva. So he is now going to take up for this. He is going to give the commentary. So let us see here. Anantam na asya antaha vidyate iti anantam. So that which does not have any end is really anantam. Okay, endless. But endless, again, people use it, or eternal, let us say. Words like endless, eternal, and all, we use it relatively. I was waiting for you endlessly means what? You would have waited for some half an hour. But if you are waiting for somebody, it always looks like a very long time. That is the truth. So you use words like that. Therefore, Bhashyakara says, Kadachid apekshikam syad ityataha vishinashti aparamiti. So why anantam has been said, then aparam also is there. Boundless, that which again aparam, para means some boundary or bounded. So boundless is aparam. That which does not have any boundaries means again it is limitless, means really it is limitless, not relative limitlessness. It transcends space time, all objects also. Okay, with reference to space, with reference to time, with reference to all objects, it is limitless. That's why both the words are used together, so that you don't misunderstand this ananta as something limitless. Sorry, within the something which is within the relative world. Then vijnaptihi vijnanam. So anantam aparam vijnana ghana eva. So vijnanam means Bhashyakara immediately vijnaptihi he gives. It's because even in Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, this Jnanam Bhashya, there is a big Bhashya. Jnanam meaning is given as Nyaptihi. Nyaptihi means again it is a certain form of noun from the dhatu nya only. But Bhashyakara is giving this Nyapti meaning to point out that there is no kartritvam there. Because knowledge in normal sense is taken up in the meaning of knowing through your senses and mind, correct? So there is this vritti jnanam, we say. Mind takes a certain form, that is called vritti, and then this awareness which is manifest in that mind which has taken a certain form results in the cognition of a particular object. That's how we look upon knowledge. In fact, this discussion is there in a lot of detail in the Vedanta Paribhasha classes which I have conducted, where we talk a lot about the pramana and how each of these 6 pramanas and all, we go into the details, how they are defined, how they work, etc. So here, jnanam, vijnanam normally means what? It is a process of knowing, means some activity is involved. So this Purva Paksha is there even when in the Taittiriya Bhashya also, but there also what Bhashyakara is pointing out is it comes in the abstract sense of being conscious, being aware. Okay, because Brahman is akarta, it is nishkriyam, there is no activity in it. That's how the Upanishad itself is revealing Brahman. So whenever all these revealing words are used with Brahman, you cannot take their meaning in isolation. This also he says. So how did, even in the Satyam Jnanam Anantam Bhashya, why one has to take it as Jnapti, abstract sense of knowing? Because it is coming with Ananta, Bhashyakara says. Correct? Ananta also is there. So you cannot take the meaning of Jnanam in isolation. Here also it comes with Anantam, Aparam and all that. Correct? So the meaning of Vijnanam cannot be taken in isolation and say that it is the process of knowing. Knowledge itself is a certain outcome of a certain process, let us say. Is it that knowledge? Means no. It is the consciousness to which everything becomes evident. That consciousness is always the same. It never changes. That is your reality, in fact, as a being. So that consciousness is talked about here, in which there is no activity. That consciousness also is not really a quality. Understand that. It is how it is. That is the very nature of the Vastu. So that is what he is pointing out here by saying Vijnaptihi. So it is not vritti jnanam, it is not a process of knowing, or neither it is the outcome of the process of knowing. It is the consciousness due to which all knowledge is really taking place. Okay, everything becomes evident, and it is the very nature of that being. Okay, which is not separate from yourself. It is yourself really. So that is vijnanam. Cha tad ghanascha, and ghana also is used. Word ghana means homogeneous. I told you why this ghana shabda is used. So vijnanam cha tad ghanascha iti vijnana ghanaha. Ghana shabdaha jatyantra pratishedharthaha. So homogeneous, that's why. Means within it there is no other thing. Jatyantra is not there. Swagata Bheda is not there. It is one whole, partless whole. That is the thing which is revealed here. Jatyantra Pratishedharthaha. It negates that within Brahman there are certain things which are different. Okay. Jatyantra Pratishedha has been done with the Ghana Shabda. And he further explains that Yatha Suvarna Ghanaha Ayo Ghanaha iti. So when you say gold, 100% gold, means it is all gold only. There is nothing else within that. Or Ayo Ghana also, iron. Within iron also you can have very pure iron. In fact, India had great metallurgical technology. They have this iron pillar even now. It is thousands of years old. It is never rusting. So how did they wrought this iron? This wrought iron is a very big, it is a mystery. In fact, one IIT Kanpur professor, he made a big study on that. And he has published, I think, papers and all that. Of course, I have read it some time back. I don't remember much now, but so the metallurgy technology was there. So Bhashyakara also is quoting either gold or iron, pure iron, means nothing else is there in that. It is not an alloy where you mix and get some steel and all that. So the Eva Shabda also is there, Vijnana Ghana Eva. Why this Eva Shabda also? Eva Shabda Avadharanartha. Avadharana means what? It is for emphasis. It is for definitely saying that it is homogeneous only. Okay. It is homogeneous only, means there is nothing else is there, definitely. No other jati. So, na anyat jatyantaram antarale vidyate. So, in between also there is nothing else. There is nothing else other than that, in fact. So, that Eva Shabda also makes it very clear. There is only one vastu, homogeneous, partless whole. So, this has been now revealed, this Brahman. Now, there is a question. What is that? So, yadi idam ekam advaitam paramarthataha swacham samsara dukkha asampriktam kinnimittaha ayam kilya bhavaha atmanaha. So, this question everybody keeps asking. So, here also it is there. What is that? If in reality this Brahman is only one, okay, one without a second, in fact, so non-dual oneness is there. That is the reality. Paramarthataha, it is the ultimate reality. It is swacha, means it is pure. It is not connected with anything else. No papa punya, nothing, no karma. And it is also not connected to any samsara dukkha. It is ananda swarupa. Then why kin nimittaha? Due to what reason this individuality has come then? Kilya bhavaha atmanaha. Like even the salt has become crystal. This individual has come now. Why? Or how? Due to what this individuality has come? So again, that is explained here. The Upanishad itself says, Etebhyaha bhutebhyaha samuthaya. So that's what Bhashyakara is commenting here. Kin nimittaha means he says, Jataha, Mritaha, Sukhi, Dukhi, Aham Mama Ityevamadi Lakshanaha, Aneka Samsara Dharma Upadrutaha iti Uchyate. So this Kilya Bhava means what? Means I am born, I will die, so I am subjected to death. I have sukha, pleasure, dukhi, pain. Then mine, me, mine, like that. Me as an individual, mine. In this manner, so many fancy ideas are there. Ityevamadi lakshanaha, characterized by all these thoughts. Aneka samsara dharma. So very many different samsara dharmas, all these relative qualities, because of which you are distressed. Upadrutaha, you are having a problem with all that. One who is distressed by all these things. So how did such a person, this individual, come about? For what reason? Means that individual came from all these bhutas. So he gives iti uchyate. So in this context it is said, what is that? Etebhyaha bhutebhyaha, from this bhuta only. Okay. Now he explains that. He says, Yani etani karya karana vishayakara parinatani nama rupa atmakani salila phena budbudopamani swachhasya paramatmanaha salilopamasya. Okay. So, yani etani, see all these things. What are those things? Karya karana vishayakara parinatani. So that which has actually become all these different effects, karyas, and all these instruments, stula and sukshma sharira, correct? Vishayas are there, vishayakara also, different objects are there, which has modified itself or which has become all these different objects and physical bodies and subtle bodies. Again, they are all in the form of names and forms, with different names and forms, and they are all equivalent to foam and bubbles, etc. Salila phena budbudopamani. So in the water you have foam and bubbles, etc. They are like that. And this Brahman is what? Swachasya Paramatmanaha Salila Upamasya. So in this pure water, okay, which is the Paramatma, all these bubbles and foams are all there. So it is like that. From the Paramatma, these things have come as though these bubbles and foams, etc. have come. And yesham vishaya paryantanam prajnana ghane brahmani paramartha viveka jnanena pravilapanam uktam nadi samudravat. And for all these things which have come out from this Paramatma in the form of these body, mind, sense complex and all the objects, they are all equivalent to these bubbles and foams I told you. So all these things up to the Vishaya Paryantana means up to the whatever objects which we are cognizing, correct? All the things, all these objects, when they have dissolved into this Prajnana Ghana Brahma, this conscious, homogeneous consciousness which is Brahman, into that, due to Paramartha Viveka Jnanena, he says. So due to the understanding of one's own reality, that ignorance that I am separate is gone. I am not a foam or a bubble, I am water. Okay, that is the Jnanam. With that, what happens? All these forms have dissolved into the knowledge that I am water. The bubbles, foams, etc. are in reality only water. They are not separate from water at any point in time. So they all pravilapanam means what? You merge, annihilate, like that there is a meaning. So you become one completely without any trace left. Like even the river joins the ocean, correct? Nadi samudravat. So once the nadi has entered the samudra, you cannot separate out the river water. So like that, once this jnanam is there, all these divisions are gone. So like this, whatever has been talked about, these divisions, they all come from this bhuta only. Etebhyaha hetu bhutebhyaha Bhashyakara now adds. Initially it is only etebhyaha bhutebhyaha alone is there here. But Bhashyakara adds this hetu. This is the reason. Hetu, those which are in the form of this cause for you, for all these individual things to come out. What are those? Okay. Hetu bhutebhyaha satya shabda vachebhyaha. So all these bhutas which are also referred to with the word satya. Now satya here again is a technical term in Brhadaranyaka. Sat and Tyat, like that we saw already, correct? Sat and Tyat together become Satya. This we saw. We already saw the Murta Brahmanam. If you remember, you can go back and see that. Or you can take it as relative truth. Satyam, Satya Shabda Vachya means that is the meaning of the word Satya. Satya itself can be taken as Sat and Tyat, because already it was talked about in the Murta Brahmanam, like that. Or if you take it simply as Satya, means we have to take it as Vyavaharika Satya. In the Vyavahara, in this relative world, whatever is taken as truth, okay, they all have come from these bhutas only. Okay. Samuthaya Saindhava Kilyavat, like even they have all come out. They have all come about, manifested, like even the salt crystal has manifested. So, but this manifestation is not real. So Bhashyakara, it is not real. Really, it has not become. Nothing has become like that. It is all mithya manifestation only. So Bhashyakara wants to show that immediately. So all these different things have come about from their hetus, okay, from their cause, and they are all considered to be Satya. But how have they manifested? Then he gives an analogy, his own analogy is giving. Yata adbyaha surya chandradi pratibimbaha. So like you have a container with water, in those days I think mirrors and all were not very uh, very much there, correct? Not very prevalent. So easier reflecting media is some water itself you take. You keep water in a big container, outside it will, sun or moon can reflect there. So it is like that formation of that pratibimba only. This individuality is like the pratibimba. In fact, based on this pratibimba analogy, there is a huge prakriya is there, pratibimba vada and all that. I am not a very big fan of extending all these analogies too much. Sometimes what happens, people get into analogy itself. Analogies are given to explain a particular point. Okay, here Bhashyakara's point is what? The individuality which is born, don't take it like it is really born, like, because the original analogy also is salt crystal out of sea or salt water, means salt is a separate entity within the water, correct? It has come out, means it is really some crystal has come, because both are vyavahara only in the same order of reality. But here it is not like that. Atma is of a different order of reality. So it has to be pointed out, this individuality which has come about is not of the same order of reality as the Atma itself. Okay, that's why immediately he is giving this particular analogy of pratibimba, reflection. The reflection is not of the same order of reality as the original, correct? So like even the reflection of sun or moon in a water body, or another example he gives, यथा वा स्वच्छस्य स्फटिकस्य अलक्तकादि उपादिभ्यः रक्तादिभावः. So alakta means lack. In English there is a word called lack, LAC. Not that lack means laksha, also there is a meaning, 1 lakh and all we say. 100,000 is called lakh. In fact, there is an interesting connection that there is an insect called lakh. In Sanskritam it is called laksha. That is because I think it is there in huge, that insect. If you can also, people also actually grow these insects, because that female of that lac insect only creates a certain resin on the branches and all that of a particular trees. You should have those trees. Then if you get all those insects to grow there, they will put all that resin, and then that resin is taken, and that is called lac, LAC. Then that lac itself is, if you heat it and all, it will become like shellac and all we have. In fact, we use it as a varnish kind of a thing on wood and all that. As children, we used to buy this shellac for painting purposes and all that. Anyway, I have gone somewhere else. So this alakta, alakta is that resin which comes out of that lac insect, okay, which is normally in a red color. In fact, our Indian postal system even now uses that wax, that resin, for sealing certain things and all that. Okay. So that is of a certain, it's a kind of red. And if you keep that near a spatika, which is transparent, the spatika itself will look in that color, correct? But spatika really does not have that color. That appearance of that color is only apparent. Similarly, this individuality is not real. It is not as real as our Atma, the self. The individuality is apparent. It's only an appearance, really. So that's what Bhashyakara is pointing, using more than one analogy, correct? He's not just using the reflection analogy. He's also using this another analogy of, or sometimes japa kusuma also we say. You can place a red flower near you can place anything near the spatika and it will take that color. So in this case, Bhashyakara is talking about this alakta basically. Alaktakadi upadibhyaha. So any conditioning factor, whether the conditioning factor is a water in which the reflection is formed, or it is something like this alakta, due to which the spatika gains the color. But the idea is that this new appearance is due to upadhi alone. It is not your real nature. The individuality is not your reality. It's not the reality of the self. It is an appearance born out of upadhi only. In this case, avidya itself is taken as the upadhi. Understand that here, again, the upadhis themselves are separate. All these doubts will come. Then, is there anything separate from Brahman? Means it is not separate. Avidya also is not separate from Brahman, because the avidya's existence also is dependent on Brahman only. But even though it is of a different order of reality, that once that identity is there, okay, so that separation is born. That appearance of separation becomes very real. And therefore what? This is born, this individuality is born. Evam, in this manner what? Karya karana bhuta, okay, bhuta upadibhyaha visheshatma kilya bhavena samuthaya samyak uthaya yebhyaha bhutebhyaha uttitaha tani yada karya karana vishayakara parinatani भूतानि आत्मनः विशेषात्म खिल्य हेतु भूतानि शास्त्र आचार्य उपदेशेन ब्रह्म विद्यया नदी समुद्रवत् प्रविलापितानि विनश्यन्ति. Okay, so what he is saying, in this manner, this karya karana bhuta, that which is in the form of karya karana, etc., and they are all the bhuta upadhi. They are the upadhis for all the beings. They are the conditioning factor, and they are like all this salt crystals also, kilya bhavena, visheshatma, specially formed. Within the salt water itself, the crystal is something special. It is there separately. It has appeared now. Samyak uthaya, it has come about well-defined manner. It is appearing now. And then what? So having come out from this, Tani yada karya karana vishayakara parinatani. So that which has modified as all this body, mind, sense complex and all the objects, these bhutas, and they are the ones reason for this visheshatma kilya hetu bhutani also. So they are the, all these upadhis only are the reason for the separateness. Being separate as an individual crystal, let us say, they all go away, they are all destroyed. How? Shastra Acharya Upadeshena, due to the Upadesha of Shastra and Acharya, they are all gone. And so, due to the Upadesha, what happens? Brahma Vidya is there. Brahma Vidyaya, Nadi Samudravat, Pravilapitani. So, they all merge back as though the river has merged back into the ocean. All the Upadhis are gone because they are not anyway real, in fact. With knowledge, they are all gone. All the upadhis, due to the upadhi only, all these individualities are born. Okay, etebhyaha bhutebhyaha means they are the hetu bhutas. The hetu bhutas themselves are what? The cause. The cause for the individuality is nothing but conditioning factors. But these conditioning factors themselves are due to ignorance, and once the knowledge is there, they all merge back, as though they all merge back, and they all vanish, really. So it is like you want to cross over the mirage water, correct? Once you know it is mirage, you don't have to do anything. Before that, you are all worried about how I am going to swim across this great ocean of samsara and all that. Hey, there is no samsara or anything like that. Nothing there, really speaking. It all evaporates straight away in 1 second. Only thing which is required is knowledge. So they are all destroyed with the knowledge born out of Shastra and Acharya Upadesha. And like even the Salila Pena Budbudadivate, Teshu Inashyatsu, Anu eva yesha visheshatma kilya bhavaha vinashyati. Okay, anu eva is there because here also it is there. Etebhyaha bhutebhyaha samuttaya. So all these upadhis have gone. Along with that, the individuality is there, but they all again they are destroyed. Tani eva anu vinashyati is there. Anu word is there here. So all these upadhi bhuta, whatever is there in the form of all these upadhis, which is the cause for the individuality, they all destroy along with, correct? Anu means along with. Along with means what? Anu eva yesha means when they all these upadhis are gone, along with that, this identity that I am a separate individual also has to go, correct? That's what Bhashyakara is pointing out here. Salila pena budbudadi teshu vinashyatsu sati, we have to add. So when the individual conditioning factors themselves are destroyed, the identity with that also will get destroyed. So that's what he is saying. When these are, the conditioning factors are gone, whatever is appearing, correct? For example, if your sun and moon are reflecting within the water body, now you destroy the pot or whatever is holding that water, water itself has dispersed. Means along with that, the reflection also is gone. You don't have to do anything. Or that japa kusuma, the flower, or this whatever the lac resin which you are holding along the spatika. Now spatika is appearing red, redness is there in spatika. But once you remove that alakta, redness also is gone. That's what he is pointing out here. So along with the destruction of the upadhi krita dharma, the qualities which were appearing, which are not real qualities, but they are appearances, those appearances are also gone. So salila phena budbudadivate teshu vinashyatsu anuyeva yesha visheshatma kilya bhavaha vinashyati. So your individuality is gone because you don't take the body mind sense complex as real anymore. They are all born out of only ignorance. They are only upadhi. In fact, Ramana used to say, you should have had enough of this body. Then that body mind sense prajna itself will go away. Till the time that you have not had enough of this body, that body mind sense complex identity will continue. If it continues, then all the problems of that body mind sense complex are your problem only. You have to suffer. There is no other way. So when somebody used to ask till when will this be there and all that, if they ask, he used to say, you have not had enough of this body. If you have had enough of this body, means everything is gone. You are not going to have any more identity with this body mind sense complex, means there is no individuality also. Everything is gone. In fact, it's not every night, it is not there, correct? It's not something new or anything like that. You are there without any body mind sense complex and you are enjoying that also. That is your reality. That's all. You have to get established in that. This whatever is coming and going and all, it is coming and going. That's all. It's all only some play. It's all play of consciousness. It's all only leela at one level. So we have to take it like that. So Bhashyakara. So this kilya bhava is gone. This individuality is gone along with the upadhi. Then what? Yatha. Okay, he himself is giving yatha udakka alaktakadi hetu apanaye. So like even when the water or that lac resin, which is the cause for the appearance of some quality, correct? If they are gone, apanaye, if they are removed or destroyed, what? Surya Chandra Spatika Adi Pratibimbaha. So whatever which is appearing either as the reflection of the sun or moon or even the Spatika appearing as with a certain color and all that Pratibimba reflections Vinashyati, the Pratibimba also is gone. And what is there now left? Chandradi Swarupameva, only the original is left. Either the Spatika is there or the Surya or Chandra alone is there. paramarthataha vyavatishtete, that alone is really left. Because the appearance themselves are only upadhi krita, and once the upadhi is gone, those appearances have to go away. So in similarly, he says, Tadvat prajnana ghanam anantam aparam swacham vyavatisthate. So once all the upadhis are destroyed by the knowledge, then whatever is left is only this prajnana ghanam, this one consciousness, one homogeneous consciousness, which is limitless, boundless, pure. That alone is there. That is me. Na tatra pretya vishesha sagnya asti. So okay, now the final part is coming. Na pretya sangyaha asti samgya asti iti ityare bravimi iti hovacha yajnavalkyaha. So that is the part here. So once this knowledge is there, okay, then what? Once all these upadhis are gone, vishesha samgya is not there. Specific identification, correct, is not there. So Vishesha Samjna is not there, but this creates a certain confusion in Maitreyi. Okay. So once it reaches, here Pretya means once you have reached, means you have merged back into this Param Brahma. Merging and all again is only figurative, as I told you. Then there is no Vishesha Samjna means what? Vishesha Jnanam, Nya, same root. So specific identity with all these individual upadhis are not there. So Vishesha Sajna Karya Karana Sangatebhyaha Vimuktasya. So the one who is free from the identity with all the conditioning factors, the body mind sense complexes. So once a person is free from that, that person has no more specific knowledge or specific identity. So in this manner, what? Ityevam are Maitreyi Bravimi. So I have now said this is the teaching he has given. Okay, Nasti Vishesha Sajna iti. So Bhashyakara again explained. The Vishesha Sajna are Samjna Nasti. Correct? What is the exact meaning of that? He gives that. Aham asau amushya putraha mama idam kshetram dhanam sukhi dukhi ityevamadi lakshana avidya kritatvat tasyaha. So tasyaha samjna nasti means what? The special, the specific knowledge of all these samsara dharmas are not there. What are those? I as an individual, this as an object, and I am the son of so and so, Amushya Putraha. It is all, this land is mine, this wealth is mine. I am a Sukhi, I am a Dukhi, in this manner, characterized by all these kinds of cognition, correct? None of this is there because it is all gone. They are all only avidya krita. Such cognitions are not there. Such cognitions are not there means you are not taking it as the reality. Understand that? That's all. Okay. So you are only seeing the content of each and every cognition. Pratibodha viditam matam. Not the vritti itself. Even when the foam is there, wave is there, whatever is there, water alone is the reality, correct? Once you know that, you don't have to remove all these things to even know the reality. So this avidya krita, that which is created by ignorance, all these cognitions are gone, specific cognition. So avidyayascha brahma vidyaya niranvayataha nashitatvat. So the avidya is destroyed by brahma vidya without any of its children or effects. Niranvayataha means, normally niranvaya means childless and all this, the word is used. But here without any, with all its effects also, the avidya is gone. It is destroyed. Therefore what? Kutaha vishesha sajna sambhavaha brahmavidaha. So for a brahmavid, there is no vishesha samjna. The vishesha samjna is not there means, don't think that brahmavid cannot become a guru and teach and all that. That will be there. But there is no reality in all these things. Brahmavid never takes any of these cognitions as reality, or whatever is revealed through this cognition also, there is no reality to all of them. They are all only mithya. The status of the knower also is mithya. Understand that. I am not even a knower. That is knowledge actually. Therefore, there is no Vishesha Samjna can never be there. Why? Because Chaitanya Swabhava Avasthitasya Brahmavidaha. So the one who has now, his nishtha is in Chaitanya only, as pure conscious being, self-existent, self-revealing consciousness is me. I am not any identified with any particular cognition or anything like that. And so such a person can be even in the Sharira. That's what can be a guru, correct? Sharira avasthitasyapi Vishesha Samjna Nopapadyate means first he is talking about Jivan Muktaha. So even the one who is there in the Sharira avastasyapi means like a guru, a jnani. For that person also the Vishesha Sajna, the specific cognitions are all unreal only. They do not really matter anymore. So for them there is no reality to all these specific cognitions. They don't identify themselves with that. Then what we talk about the one who has left the body permanently, Videha Mukta also. Kimuta Karya Karana Vimuktasya Sarvataha. So the one who has totally given up the physical body and the subtle body and all that, with that person the Vimukta is Vimuktaha, Vimuktasya Vimuchyate. Being totally free from all this, he is finally freed also anyway. Okay. So like this, Yajnavalkya says, Itiha Uvacha Uktavan Kila. So this is what Yajnavalkya said. Paramartha Darshanam Maitreyi. So this Paramartha Darshana, this ultimate truth, was revealed to Maitreyi, who is his wife also, Bharyayi Yajnavalkya. So Yajnavalkya revealed this truth to Maitreyi. So with this is over. Then Maitreyi will ask a question. Then we'll see how Yajnavalkya answers that. We'll see that next week. Or next week, okay, we can see next week, not a problem. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Thank you, Guruji.